So, does the equal sign between Bill and myself mean we're both in Belvedere?
No. Bill
Now, Cliff.
equals Cliff.
I've got a lot of work to do. I can answer your silly questions if you want, or I can try to get us on the air. What would you like to
Try and get us on the air.
do? Okay, stop asking silly questions then. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
I didn't say stop talking.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah, you're on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. I'm joined by Dr. Bill Johnson from UMass Lowell. We're hoping to have Eileen Delrossi, Mike Smith, and Fru Nkimbeng all contact us by Zoom or telephone, but it hasn't happened yet. Today is a general or national election in Canada, so they should all be turning out. I'm hopeful. The weather was 50 degrees when I came in. It's clear, so it's a little chilly, but not a big wind or anything. How did you see it? Pretty much?
Yeah, it was nice. I came without a jacket.
Yeah. Today in 1789, the mutiny on the Bounty happened with Lieutenant William Bligh and 18 sailors set adrift and the rebel crew returning to Tahiti before setting sail for Pitcairn Island. When I was young, I thought this was a novel, but it's a real thing.
So if I remember correctly, the crew was eventually captured and
Yes.
tried and convicted,
Yes.
which they committed mutiny, so they should have been.
And Bligh goes on to have a career in the Navy, including going down to Australia and stuff. On this day in 1869, Chinese and Irish laborers for the Central Pacific Railroad, building the first transcontinental railroad, lay 10 miles of track in one day, a record that has never been matched. 1944, in World War II, 9 German E-boats, which are small attack craft with torpedoes, attacked U.S. and U.K. units during Exercise Tiger, the rehearsal for the Normandy landings. They killed 946.
Cliff, where was the railroad done in 10 days?
Out along the Central Pacific.
That's a big area. Did they give you a state?
No,
Understood. Thank you.
could be Utah, though.
It could be Ohio.
Nevada.
No, absolutely not.
It could be Nevada.
It could be California.
Could be
It
California.
could be Washington. Could be Texas.
I don't think.
No, Texas.
I don't think Washington.
you
Not
say.
Washington.
But you don't know.
Well, it's the Central Pacific Railway.
Central Pacific. But they probably had lines in California and Texas.
No.
Could have been Texas.
Cliff says
No.
no. But Cliff
sorry,
was not the king of the
California.
railroads then.
Confusing me.
Bill, I need to steal a Kleenex from the box.
Okay.
For some reason, I'm... Mike, how are you?
Anxious.
It looks like the Zoom link is having an issue. I don't know, have you guys started yet or no?
We have.
Okay, I'll just use the phone then. Okay.
Okay.
Is he on this mic then?
Yeah. Yeah, bring that over. On this day, Benito Mussolini and his mistress, Clara Petassi, were shot dead by Walter Addisio, a member of the Italian resistance movement. Then they hung him upside down. That was ugly. Today in 1945 was the last use of a gas chamber during the Holocaust. They killed 33 Upper Austrian socialist and communist leaders. At the Mauthausen concentration camp. Remember last week, John, we mentioned Thor Heyerdahl? In 1947, Thor Heyerdahl and 5 crewmates set out from Peru on the Kon-Tiki to demonstrate that the Peruvian natives could have settled Polynesia. When I was,
Wasn't that the book club Kon-Tiki?
yes, it was. When I was in high school, that was a exciting book.
Yeah, I read it. I remember reading it.
I flipped it over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm hitting the wrong. There you go. I'm increasing your volume. Yep. Great book. 1952, Treaty of San Francisco gives sovereignty back to Japan. 1970, the Vietnam War. President Nixon formally authorized American combat troops to take part in the Cambodian campaign. And in 1994, former Central Intelligence Agency counterintelligence officer and analyst Aldrich Ames pleaded guilty to giving U.S. secrets to the Soviet Union and later Russia. So there he is, counterintelligence working for the other side. In 1758, James Monroe, the 5th President of the United States, was born. He died in 1831. So that made him 91, not a bad run. Today is Workers' Memorial Day and World Day for Safety and Health at Work. In Canada, it's called National Day of Mourning.
If I'm going to hang up on you, I got my Zoom link and I'll see if that works.
Okay, sounds good. So I texted that out to a couple of friends, and they wrote back, Wobblies of the World Unite. I didn't think anybody remembered who the Wobblies were.
I don't.
Workers of the World International, they're about 1910 or so.
You must have some very old friends.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'm going to take 2 that
Yeah,
are small.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good. Mike, are you there on the Zoom?
I can hear you now. So
Great.
it looks like sounds like it's working okay.
Yeah. You sound good. So we introduced everyone. Before I jump off on Canada, the elections today, they need 172 seats, and the Liberals are projected to win 184. Do you have any thoughts on this, or does Kathy have any thoughts?
Well, it's if you can hear me, it sounds like they won't need the Quebecers then to get the majority.
No.
And
This-
now we're all right. I gotta call you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Just
Cliff,
But that doesn't go anywhere.
Cliff,
what?
It's yeah.
don't give up on Zoom. Tell them stick with Zoom for a while.
Mike, John is asking you to stick with Zoom. Was that Kathy talking, or was that Eileen?
I think it was Eileen.
It's Eileen.
How are you, Eileen?
Mike Smith.
Do you want us to answer, Mike?
Gonna have to.
Yeah, Mike,
Yeah, I'm back. I called because it just again the Zoom my Zoom is just not going through okay. All right.
okay. So, I was struck by 9 people were killed out in Vancouver. There was a Lapu Lapu festival. And some truck plowed into it, killed 9 people.
Yeah, Kathy and I discussed over the weekend, we were kind of, everybody thinks that all this violence is restricted just to the U.S., but Canada's been having its issues also. And it's unfortunate. Again, I'm going to bring back an old subject, mental illness. I just don't think whether it's the U.S. or Canada is dealing with it adequately as far as recognizing people and getting them help. And I believe more people have anxiety and stress now because of social media than they had before. Everybody's worried about how people look at them and think, and things are posted right away about people, especially high school kids. I mean, social media can be really brutal.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know Lapu Lapu, that name applies in my mind to 2 things. Lapu Lapu is the national fish of the Philippines. Lapu Lapu is also the name of the Philippine patriot who killed Magellan during Magellan's round the world voyage. He didn't make it all the way. He died in the Philippines. So he's a sort of national hero in the Philippines.
So, my understanding was it was a Filipino festival of some
Yes.
sort? Yeah. And I thought the police had said it was not a terrorist attack. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
So,
That's what they said.
okay. So, but I'm not sure what that means. It was an accident then? Is that the alternative?
Well, I go with what Mike said, mental illness. The driver was not unknown to the police.
Oh, I see.
So that raises questions.
But it was not done for political, I mean, I guess to call it
Yeah.
terrorism, you'd say it was done for political reasons.
I would, yes.
So it was not done for that reason. This person had a problem. Okay. I mean, obviously, that's still very sad, whether it's done for,
Yeah.
the 9 people are dead, whether it was done for political reasons or not.
Yeah,
It's very unfortunate, but again, if you look at, what is it, Gen Z or the youngest generation now, I mean, and the ones just before it, high schoolers, college, I mean, the social media in some ways is almost like a curse to that generation because it's so brutal, especially high schoolers now, on how people are judged and what's put out on them. I can see where there's a lot of anxiety.
well, and they're not socializing as much. Fewer people are going on dates, for instance, in high school than 20 or 30 years ago. Hi, Fru. Fru, can you hear me? Mike, can you say hello to Fru and see if it goes that way?
Fru, can you hear me, Fru? No response.
I need a hand signal for calling. Fru, look at me. There you go. Yeah. I don't think he caught my attention. I caught his attention.
But I can barely hear you.
Oh, now I hear you though.
We can hear you.
That's good. We were talking about Canada elections and the
Morning, Eileen.
So, Fru, did you have any thoughts on the Canadian election or the Canadian incident out in Vancouver where those 9 people died? I mentioned that children are less socially interactive. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was wondering if we'd taken the pound meat.
I can barely hear you.
If we had taken the pound me 2 thing too
You want
far.
me to call on my cell phone?
Yeah. So, yes, Fru, please, that we've taken it too far so that shy young boys are now afraid to try and steal a kiss and sugar. I think I totally screwed that up. We're trying to get through.
So I do think we need to be cognizant of the impact of technology on, we need to think about what social media and technology is doing to young people because they won't think about it themselves. I think we need to be careful about how that's going to change the way people interact with each other, and it's something that hasn't received enough attention. Part of the problem, though, is we need to decide how we want to deal with this years ago, not today, but years ago, and so we've got lots of people who are already adversely affected by this.
So, Mike, do you have any additional thoughts?
Yeah, so some of it has to do with, I noticed it even 10 years ago, when my nieces and nephews would come over for family holidays. I'd have to tell them to put their phones down or turn them off. I mean, they'd be sitting in the same room across from each other, and they wouldn't be talking. They'd be texting with each other. You're losing the interaction between people. I mean, obviously, when I was growing up, you didn't have all the cell phones and all the other stuff. You got together at family events. You talked with your cousins, went out and played together, said, what have you been doing? Aunts and uncles would talk to you. But now, I mean, everything's done through text or Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those different things.
Snapchat.
And people are losing their ability to interact with each other face to face. Because you could, whether people realize it or not, talk face to face. You could read body language and tone more. When you're having text, you can't do all that.
That's true. Eileen, you got any thoughts?
Eileen's gone.
I'm sorry, she dropped?
It's not on the screen.
Yeah, I think Eileen probably sees this kind of thing in the schools too, which is challenging. We talked maybe a month ago or so about the use of cell phones in schools, but that's a challenge too, because if their students' preferred way of communicating is through text, it's one more reason, I think, to restrict use of cell phones in schools, or limit, I should say.
Yeah.
With the excitement with AI, it's even going to be worse because they'll be making the next generation robotic out of people because they will lose that sense of compassion and in touch with each other. That human skill will really be totally lost because they will be dependent on technology. We are excited about it now, but I think the future is a kind of very mixed and bleak one.
We went through this, 2,500 years ago when the written word became popular and people worried that folks would be poorer because they no longer memorized all the history and philosophy but could just pick up a book and read it, as I recall. I don't know.
I wasn't around then. I don't recall that.
Yeah.
No, so are you saying when literacy picked up, there was a concern that people
Yes.
would? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So mass literacy probably began, 150 years ago, or?
Oh, no, this was back 2,500 years ago when it first started.
Oh, you're talking about Aristotle.
Yeah, those kinds of guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of an apocryphal. I don't know that
Yeah.
that's real, right?
No.
Because mass literacy really didn't occur 2,500 years ago. There were people that could read, but not a lot of them.
Comment from the audience, don't forget about how addicted the adults are to their phones, not just the kiddos. Good point.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about adults being addicted to phones as well. The important distinction I would make there is that children are definitely not making a deliberate choice about their cell phone usage in the same way. So I think that's a population we have to be particularly careful about. In addition, their brains are not fully developed, and so they're going to have some long impacting effects from using phones or electronic devices very early. Naturally, of course, we should worry about everybody doing it, but I think the bigger concern is for younger people.
Yeah. The one thing about texting is it'll force people to learn how to read. Fru, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that with the excitement about AI, if you look at it, the Asians think differently. They have different culture than the Europeans. The Africans have different culture than the Europeans. Even the South Americans, they have different cultures than the Europeans. With all this technology, it makes you, if you rush to go to Wikipedia and search something, you're only searching from the minds of the person who created that app and the culture and the environment that people comes in. It doesn't give room for other ideas to come in than face-to-face conversation. So you will see that it is a kind of world colonial mentality that those who control this technology will actually spread their own ideas and make their own ideas the ideal and that which everyone in the world should follow.
So I would push back a little bit in this area because, of course, there are also many more voices that can be heard now. If I go on Reddit, I can hear lots of different types of voices, not just people who control the media. The same thing on many social media platforms where I can hear lots of voices that people who didn't have a voice before social media. So I think there are some downsides to this as well, but I think there are some more voices you can hear because of the world we live in, where I think that wasn't the case maybe 50 or 100 years ago.
That's true. But I'm just saying that those who have the means, those who have the education, and those who create these apps, they are actually forcing their own ideology, their own social, they are defining the world through their own lens. And people who are accessing this art, they believe in it religiously, as if those arts are all and all. but that's the creation of someone, and that some person is not a god.
So should we be concerned about TikTok coming from China then?
No, we should not be concerned, and that's why we are blocking it. Once we are blocking ideas coming from other parts of the world, it just agrees with what I am saying, that what is European, what is Eurocentric, they want to make it the standard all over the world. And what you think that you create from your own, you want to block the other person and promote your own. So it doesn't create a level playing field.
I certainly agree, Fru, that the technology is, I don't want to overstate this, but monopolized in a way that powerful people, be they Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, to pick a name, he's incredibly powerful in picking the way Facebook operates and the messages that are disseminated and that sort of thing. And that should make us all at least think carefully about if this is a good idea, or to take a step further, think this is probably not a good idea. Certainly I agree with you that that's the case. I don't know what the solution is necessarily. I would Cliff asked specifically about Chinese ownership of TikTok. I think the issue is bigger than that. I think you could pick on that one, but I think mostly the reaction from there, in my opinion, and I think people can disagree about this, I think that's mostly a political thing, more than anything else. Okay.
So, I haven't been following this, but apparently Google's in a court case, people talking about breaking up Google. There's Google is a search platform, dominate the world. I don't know. I use Safari and DuckDuckGo myself. But,
so, I mean, they're clearly dominant in that space.
I use Google. Too much stuff is excluded from other search engines.
I'm sorry, too much what?
Too many options are excluded from the other two search engines that you just brought up.
So, yeah.
I think I'd go back to the Obama administration and say, I think from the Obama administration, the Trump administration, and the Biden administration, there were mergers that occurred that I'm not sure they were good to allow. And this is across Republican and Democratic administrations. I think the technology guys, I'll just call them that for lack of a better term, played their cards well in a way that allowed them to get a lot of power and influence that now we're seeing maybe this wasn't such a good idea. But it's very challenging to deal with it. Of course, you can go back to the trust busting era and say nobody wanted to be broken up. Nobody wanted to be broken up then. Ma Bell didn't want to get broken up in the 70s.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to get broken up now either. But if it's bad for consumers, then probably something needs to be done. I'm not sure how much progress we're gonna make in this area.
Well, should Lowe's be broken up? Should Home Depot be broken up?
Well, you just mentioned two major.
Go ahead, Fru.
Sorry, Fru.
We are not seeing Bill and Cliff on the screen. It is dark.
Fru, if you have some technical issues, kindly text them to me.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, so with respect to, say, Home Depot or Lowe's, they have a lot of competition. I would point out that, even if Cliff is mentioning DuckDuckGo, I don't think Google has a significant amount of competition. I use Firefox myself. Part of the reason is I don't like the idea of Google having so much influence and power. But, as John points out, like Google is the standard. And there are certainly cases where I can't get certain things to function because Firefox just doesn't work. So I do think for those applications, I think those guys just have an incredible amount of power. I don't know that that's a good thing.
Yeah, we know Google's predominant because when people are going to go use a search engine, they say, I'm going to go Google it. That's kind of a dominant position where your company name is representative of doing the work.
Google has now become part of the diction, English diction, language diction.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Hey, can I ask Fru, who are these folks? Fru, you sent us a bunch of pictures over the weekend, and I'm just catching up technologically with stuff. So if you can look on your screen there, you should be able to see that.
Yes,
Can you explain?
that's in Johannesburg. It was a peace conference. You see the guy in the middle near me. That is the guy, Mohammed. He was part of the team that negotiated the peace with the Afrikaners and the ANC. The chief negotiator for the ANC was the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the chief negotiator for the apartheid regime was Rufus. You can Google it. His name is Roelf Meyer. He was here. He told us that he was in Washington State. The two of them were there to talk about the peace negotiation. He told us how he and the current president negotiated to get the ANC and the apartheid regime to abandon apartheid government. It was quite inspirational.
So this is South Africa?
In Johannesburg, South Africa.
Okay, great. How's the weather?
Well, they are getting into their own fall. The fall weather now.
So they're opposite to us.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Back over to Cliff.
So, talking negotiation, Fru, I saw where Congo and Rwanda have come to some sort of an agreement. Is that right?
So to speak, well, when you talk anything about Africa, don't forget the people in the shadow, in the background, because the interest is those that are not mentioned. These people on the screen are just the window screen, because what is going on in Congo, it is a fight between outsiders in control of the resources using the puppet government there for their interest. It is, how long will it hold?
That's an interesting question. How long will it hold? Because I think that is also a question behind getting a peace treaty between Ukraine and Russia.
That's true. And I think in the continental Africa, the major issue is the president of Burkina Faso, who is doing wonderful things in 2 years. No African leader, he's the youngest president, but no African leader has brought advancement, development, peace. But you don't hear that in the Western world because he kicked out the French army, severed all relations with them, and that's the only true African independent country so far. He has escaped 23 coups in 3 years. I think last month they arrested foreign nationals who were really trying to bring them down.
Now, so,
I get up at 4, watch the whole thing. Fabulous funeral. Best funeral I ever seen in my life. Very nicely done. Very colorful, well-meaning, and then the procession to the second church or the second cathedral, whatever you want to call the place, was absolutely fantastic. To see his Pope Mobile turned into a hearse and driven through the city, beautiful stuff. And it was a beautiful day in Rome and great TV coverage. Sorry you guys missed it. It was a good time.
yeah, my oldest son watched it and said that he thought it was very good, except he thought the homily was not that exciting, just being a recitation of events in Pope Francis's life. But aside from that, he thought it was great.
Yeah, the music was great. The crowd was unbelievable to see all those people standing on St. Peter's Square. It's just
I heard 400,000 people in St. Peter's Square.
all kinds
Yeah.
of numbers. But
That's
it was
that's
packed.
a lot of people.
It was packed.
Yeah.
And then the Immaculate Mass Thursday. They had a mass at the Immaculate in honor of the Pope. Good crowd. Good crowd. And I had hoped that it would bring people back to church, but I didn't see a big difference over the weekend. Did you see a big difference over the weekend, Cliff? Attendance-wise?
No, I didn't, but in some places, things are happening, where my youngest son lives, they had 29 confirmations and a bunch of people came into the church.
Is it secret where your son lives?
The what?
I don't think the audience knows where your son lives. Is it secret?
No. He lives in Broadmoor, Virginia.
In Virginia. Thank you.
Where they have a fairly conservative bishop. It's different in Virginia. For instance, people go to Mass, are packing, just in case.
You mean they have a gun?
They have a gun.
Okay, home run, Mike. Text messaging is a terrible form of communication. Unless I'm texting City Life or the Dawn Patrol, then it's not bad. Back over to you.
So, with the Pope buried, we now have to elect a new Pope. That'll happen, it'll start somewhere between 6 and 11
Pope is
May.
entombed. He's not
Entombed.
buried.
Okay, thank you.
Buried means you need dirt. There's no dirt. He's entombed. Interred, you could use the word interred, but I listened to it all over the weekend. He's being buried, buried means dirt, dude. What's the matter with you? He's being interred. Entombed, not buried.
You know, I love when we get into John's vernacular and he gets picky with words.
Well, you want to be buried or entombed?
Me, I don't think I'm going to care.
Yeah,
Well, this
ask him when
Well,
he gets there.
that wasn't the question, Cliff.
Yeah,
What do you want?
I'm indifferent.
So you don't. So you're not going to give me an answer. Okay, moving right
Well-
along. I no longer care.
John,
Page.
what
Cliff,
about you? Do you
Cliff,
want to be entombed versus buried?
I no longer care. Move right along, please. I got a text coming in from Eileen.
All right. So, they're going to get together in the Sistine Chapel. Did you go through the Sistine Chapel?
I've been through the Sistine Chapel twice, I think. Yeah.
Pretty nice.
It's an amazing place.
I found the hallway to be nicer. The hallway to get in was more ornate than actually the Sistine Chapel.
And so the Cardinals, I think there's 135 of them are going to be sealed in, no going in and out. I think some of us are eligible, but very, very unlikely to be selected. It'll be one of the Cardinals.
Cliff, are you still using your phone over there, or are we all on Zoom?
I think the phone is still being used.
Yeah, I'll just add in, Cliff, I did some research on some of this. I was looking at the Cardinals from the United States that were going. There is only one Cardinal that's eligible to vote that's under 70, and he's 69. I'm concerned about the ages of all these Cardinals. Now, I understand the Pope had been appointing a lot other younger Cardinals, recently. And I don't know if you realize he appointed, I think, out of the 130 Cardinals that are eligible to vote, 108 he appointed, which is phenomenal amount of Cardinals for the amount of time he was Pope compared to the previous.
Hang on a second. All right. We have Eileen on the phone. Yeah, you're right. Pope Francis appointed the vast majority of the Cardinals that are going to vote.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. The youngest one, I think, is the one he just appointed in December of last year, of 2024, from Ukraine. He's only 45. So, but the average age of the U.S. Cardinals is probably 75, somewhere close to 75 from the ages I saw. Cardinal Dolan, who's from New York area, he's 75, 76. So it'll be good to get younger people in there looking at things, and that's where the biggest expansion of Catholic faith people are coming from the countries that are like Africa and that area and that part of the world. So it'll be interesting to see who they vote in, and if it'll be a younger Pope or more in the age group that Francis was.
So I was listening to TV yesterday, and Raymond Arroyo, who I like, is pretty level-headed, suggested the next Pope could come from sub-Saharan Africa, and a name high up on that list is Fridolin Ambongo Besungu. He's 65 from the Republic of Congo. I have no idea. I know in the Episcopal Church there are parishes in the United States who have moved to have an African bishop as their bishop in their diocese because they're more conservative. They mentioned conservatives, including the Ghanaian Cardinal Peter Turkson, 76, and Ghanaian Cardinal Robert Serra, 79. So, as Mike says, they're older. And then there is the chap known as the Asian Francis, Cardinal Luis Antonio Gurman Tagli, 67 of the Philippines. And that's a complicated name, but I think it's a step up for the cardinal when I was in the Philippines. His name was Jaime Sin, Cardinal Sin. So I always thought that was an interesting contradiction. Go ahead, John.
Comment from the audience, how long do you think it will take to select the new pope? Will they go with a liberal or conservative this time around?
I'm thinking 6 days, and I think they'll go with someone slightly more conservative. What do you think?
Well, it'll be interesting how much the Italian cardinals have any influence on that, because there is some politics involved when a pope is elected. I was doing more research. The United States has the most cardinals, 17, outside of the Vatican, which is the Italian cardinals. So it'll be interesting to see where the alignment is for the voting. You need more than a simple majority. 2/3 of the cardinals have to agree to elect a pope. So it's not that you got to have a lot of agreement between all of them in order to get that a new pope elected.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Fru.
I was going to, you mentioned African popes, and I was also listening to African discussion think tanks. Most intellectuals there said it will be terrible for Africa if they appoint an African pope, because that will, according to some intellectuals, that will actually wade into the African colonization more. Because we look at the Catholic Church, is more now into Africa and the third world. And if you listen to Desmond Tutu, he said when Christianity came, the Africans had the land. They brought the Bible. They asked Africans to close their eyes and pray. When they opened their eyes, they hold the Bible, then the land was gone. And these guys mentioned that the religion is a man-made institution to control others. And there are many religions all over the world. There's no unique religion. And the mere fact that Christianity is more popular, it was because they brought it into Africa, and also it raised the African beliefs. And that if you look at the practices that were going on at the Vatican during the burial, you see that some of those practices are like indigenous in Africa that Christianity had condemned. But you see right now they are assimilating and taking those cultures because they know that that's the only way that they can get inroads in that continent.
Okay.
I just kind of want to add one other thing, Cliff. What I thought is interesting in listening to everything over this last week or so is that they're saying that more and more younger people are being drawn to the Catholic faith. And I thought that was interesting because I think with the chaos in the world of everything that's going on, I think they're looking for more structure or more something to be more settled in their life with everything that's going on. So I just thought that was interesting that younger people are being more drawn to that Catholic faith.
Yeah. During the election, they take 4 votes a day. So we'll be looking to see what color the smoke is out of the Sistine Chapel. Black meaning nothing, and white meaning they've selected the Pope. They won't announce the name until the Pope appears on the balcony of the...
So that means the smoke comes out of the chapel 4 times a day, either
Yes.
black or white?
Yes.
Correct.
Oh. I thought it was just like once a day.
Nope, after every vote, Eileen, and they literally lock them into that room, and they have guards at the doors. There's nobody going in and out. There's no press. There's no phones. There's none of that. They're in that room, just like think of it as a jury going in to debate a criminal case or civil case. They're locked in the room, and nobody's getting in and out. There's not just them in there.
Do they feed them?
Yeah, I'm sure they have food and they have facilities for a toilet and that. But they're in their room. There's no phones. There's none of that. There's nothing. Just discussion with them.
Oh, wow. Huh, interesting.
So, moving on to international trade, we have all the discussion of tariffs, but I'm wondering, last year we exported goods and services of $4.8 trillion, and we imported $5.9 trillion. Does this deficit of $1 $1.3 trillion make a difference? How does that money get made up?
We print more.
So there's a couple of really important things. The first one is the U.S. is a wealthy nation, so the U.S. has money and produces high-value goods, and so is sort of naturally going to have a trade deficit. The other issue is that we don't save as much as many other countries. So, for instance, in China, they save more money than Americans typically do. So that leads to a natural bias toward a trade deficit. Of course, a trade deficit, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. As one commentator said, I run a trade deficit with my barber. Well, of course, I pay my barber, I pay him for a service, and he doesn't buy anything from me. My barber doesn't have any children who go to the university, so I run a trade deficit with my barber. I think when there's trade, it just means that people want what the other person has. There's been a lot made of the trade deficit is driven by tariffs or restrictions on U.S. imports to certain places. I don't think that's the main determinant. It is a determinant, and I think the Trump administration has pushed hard to say that's why there's a trade deficit. But I don't think it's certainly not the only reason. So I don't think it matters as much as the administration has made of it. I'll say that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just want to say that the media seems to focus more on the tariffs, but you have to look beyond the tariffs and look at the restrictions that some of these countries put on the opportunities for the U.S. to sell their goods there. And China is one of the worst. That's why I think he's not taking the tariffs off. But it's not just China, but Europe. Like I said on one of the earlier podcasts, when I worked for the company I had worked for, when we sell products to Europe, the requirements and restrictions were a lot stricter on what we had to do to import those products into Europe than they were in the United States. So, and then also, and we do it too, the U.S. supports farmers and does other stuff, subsidizing different industries to help prop them up. Some of the countries do that too. So the tariffs are the big thing, but there's a lot of things behind that that are going on. And I think we're trying, some of the reasons behind the administration is they want to make things a little bit more fair for our companies to sell in other countries.
Okay. Bill.
Should we ask Fru specifically about?
Yeah, we asked Fru. Fru, you want to tell us anything else about your trip to South Africa, to Johannesburg?
Well, the only thing that I observed there, listening to this former minister, is that regardless of how you can talk about South Africa has the most free and fair press. And even if you watch on TV how they fight in Parliament, they speak their mind. And that they have one of the most powerful constitution, post-apartheid constitution in the world, and which is exemplary. You could see their former president, Zuma, came in and tried to use tribalistic whatever, and he was impeached and removed from office.
Okay. How many days were you gone?
Huh?
How many days were you gone?
Oh, I was gone for 8 days.
8 days. Yeah. So, and a long plane trip.
Yeah, but getting to that economic thing, I really think that the tariff thing, it's maybe with time, it may work better for the U.S., but I think it's also enabling others to seek alternative markets and alternative source of raw materials, which may be bad with us.
Okay. So, are we going for a break, Mr. Producer?
Yes, we should.
All right.
All right, have a good week.
And
Bye,
you
Fru.
too, Fru.
Thank you.
Okay. So, are we,
That's a Presbyterian church? Yeah.
the what? Yeah. He used to be Reverend Prince. Mr. That Gary. Yeah.
You're back.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. Welcome to City Life. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Bill Johnson sitting next to me. Eileen Delrossi and Mike Smith are remote, and our producer, John McDonough, of course. So, the flags are at half-staff for Pope Francis per presidential orders. I admit I was a little surprised that several state secretaries of state didn't sue him in federal court over that. No?
No.
Oh, okay. And in Massachusetts, they were also at half-staff on Saturday for Corporal John Edwinson of Wilmington, who served in the Marine Corps, Company 8, 1st Battalion, 7th Regiment. During World War II and was killed in action in September 1942 at Guadalcanal. So they must have just found the body, identified it, or some undertaker had kept it in cold storage for a long time.
Usually they find it, they do the DNA, and bring the person home.
That's good.
They being the government.
Out in Hawaii, there's a operation set up to make that happen. I saw that President Trump has tweeted out he was restoring Columbus Day, which will be on 13 October this year. I'm not sure what that means because it is a federal holiday. So, but I have to admit
We'll find
that-
out more when the lawsuits start today.
What?
When the lawsuits start today, we'll discover more.
I'd see.
I think the president has a lot of ability to issue presidential decrees, and Joe Biden said that we're not going to call this Columbus Day anymore, we're going to call it Indigenous Peoples Day, and then President Trump said we're not going to call it Indigenous Peoples Day, we're going to call it Columbus Day. There weren't lawsuits last time, and there won't be lawsuits this time. But I don't, I mean, people can disagree about what this should be called, I suppose.
Yeah.
But no worries, the government will be off that day. We don't care what you call it, we're off.
Thank you, John, for that encouraging information.
Well, to me, at my ripe old age, it's all about, the government just wants to preserve for themselves. The reason that Google still exists, because it hasn't affected the government yet. Once it affects the government will come down on it. But right now, it's just affecting the people who don't count. The government must survive, and once you start to interfere with the government surviving, you're going to be in trouble. If you don't disturb the government doesn't care. The government's not here to protect you or help you. The government is here for self-preservation,
Yeah.
for their self-preservation. So looking at, got 3 comments from the audience. And they say, we also have a society that is addicted to Amazon, and where does all that crap come from? A question for Mr. Krieger. Did he hear about the crash pilot Robert Holland? And the last text says, it's hard for a country, the U.S., to save money when you're giving billions and billions away to homeless and illegal problems in the name of just 2. Back to you, Cliff. You want to speak to that pilot, Rob Holland?
No, I did not.
Understood. Thank you.
If the texture could give us a little hint, I do know there was a crash at, I think it was Langley Air Force Base, an experimental aircraft was in for a demonstration. I saw where it was determined in the accident report for the crash at National Airport that the helicopter pilot was told several times to change her altitude and her direction, and she failed to do that.
So I just looked up Rob Holland, if I may.
Go ahead.
Rob Holland, a renowned stunt pilot. Something just popped up. Rob Holland, a renowned stunt pilot, has died in a plane crash in Virginia. According to CNN's Pete Montine, Holland was killed during a landing at Langley Air Force Base near Hampton on Thursday morning.
Yes.
He was scheduled to perform at the Air Power over Hampton's Roads air show over the weekend.
Yeah, he was flying a new experimental stunt plane, high-wing monoplane, I think single seat. I don't know what happened, and every one of those is unfortunate. So, Eileen, since you won't be here later for me to ask you, what book are you reading?
What book am I reading?
Yes.
Right now, I'm reading a book about Turtle Boy.
Ah.
That's what book I'm reading right now. Am I supposed to be reading something else?
No, that's perfect, because it's the lead into what's happening in the Karen Reed show.
Oh, so testimonies begin again today, and last week was very interesting because some of the witnesses that they didn't even choose to cross-examine last trial, turns out that they made significant lies enough to get Karen Reed indicted in front of the grand jury. And Alan Jackson was able to impeach their testimony.
Well, that is interesting.
Now, what do you mean by the word?
I was watching some of that, watching some of the trial there, Eileen, because I'm got more interested in that more now. And they destroyed the one witness, that one lady there.
Oh, Carrie Roberts, the friend, yes.
And they just destroyed her on the witness stand. I mean,
You know that it even made TMZ. That's how crazy. Billy Bush is covering this TMZ. It's getting so big, but it just speaks to the corruption that has existed here for so long, and how people will do whatever they can to cover themselves and cover that thin blue line that we have here.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're saying, though, the prosecution side is saying, well, the scientific evidence is going to show things. I don't know if they've got good scientific evidence, for this. So I just think that, I've been on a jury two times, at least 2 times I've been on jury. And, when I sat in the jury box, I look at the evidence and all that, and when I start seeing that people have lied and not testified correctly, then that puts in my mind a lot of reasonable doubt.
Right, and that's they were lucky enough that jurors spoke out from the last trial, and even there's a former juror from the case that didn't deliberate that joined Karen's Reed's law team, the defense team, because she thought that it was so corrupt last time. But they learned that there were so many distractors, like with the wording, and like the prosecution last trial was able to confuse the jury enough that they were trying to look at the facts and the evidence, but it was too confusing. So in conversation with the jurors who did speak out, they came right out of the gate with impeaching even, and I don't mean to call them like low-hanging people, but the people they would never have thought to even cross-examine last trial, that they realized that how those little lies built up to Karen Reed being found guilty by a grand jury, or indicted. Indicted is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, the thing is people don't realize in a grand jury, it's kind of, in some ways, somewhat rigged, because when you get the grand jury testimony, the prosecutor can bring in whoever they want, and they can, and I've never served on grand jury, but I know people have. And the defense, they can't, basically, the prosecutor has all the cards and can and frame things for the grand jury to just say, yeah, go ahead, you can go ahead with that case. It's not exactly fair for the person who's throwing up a defense.
Right? No, and I get that it's one-sided, but it's the things you would never think of. Like, I would never think that Kerry Roberts would have even testified at a grand jury because of she didn't really have a big part or what was even with him that night. And then to hear that she did have a part of the grand jury and was one of the major reasons of the indictment, that really stands out of, like, how people get influenced by others and it can destroy another person's life.
Yeah, if she's found not guilty, if they don't have a hung jury again, she's found not guilty, there's probably going to be a major lawsuit against
everybody.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be, I wouldn't be surprised there's going to be some definite out-of-court settlements.
Even when they had John O'Keefe's mother testify, which they didn't have that in the last trial. But even when she said, like, when she got to the hospital for her son, she asked somebody, why is she here? Why is Karen here? And they said she's in a psychiatric hold, and that's illegal. You know what I mean? That somebody even did that and gave up her HIPAA rights.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of question marks there. Now that I really wasn't following it that much, I know we've been talking about it on the podcast, but it's been in the major news. I said, well, I better spend some more time to find out what's going on here. And the more I looked at it, I'm like, wow, this is bad.
Welcome to my world, Mike. Welcome to my world.
It's really bad.
So, on the top of Karen Reed, we have a serial killer scare here in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, with 8 potential deaths since March. And there's a Facebook group of 65,000 members. Yesterday it was 65,000 members, so it could be higher today. Do you know anything about that, Eileen? Oh, the Facebook is the New England SK.
Well, I think they should start really looking at the Mass State Police and the state police before they look to a serial killer because of everything that's been coming out. But no, I really haven't heard much about it. I haven't really looked into it. But there are so many things that have happened that you can just realize that people maybe shut their mouths or stop talking about over time. And who knows who's covering up for who or what? And I think that's where I'm at right now with how things have gone down with this whole Pierce Reed case. Is like, how do we know that these just weren't cover-ups from a higher power?
Yeah.
Or do we really have a serial killer? And what is his pattern?
Well, I don't know. I didn't see any patterns, so I'm a little lost on that. But
Cliff, can you back up your bus a little bit? Give me more background on these, the serial killer incident. How many people has he killed? 8?
8.
What does that mean?
Well, how many fingers are stuck out?
I'm not going to go there, Cliff.
3.
Thank you. Turn the
3.
page. Turn the page. Thanks.
Add 5 to 3. What do you get?
I'm done. Thank you.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I'm all done.
This is your chance to learn.
Turn the page.
Learn. Don't turn the page.
Let me
Learn.
just ask the audience, okay? Cliff, the host. Say, how many people have been killed? He goes, 8.
No, that's
That-
not
that-
what I
that-
did.
that's what
That
he
is
did.
exactly
He did
not
this.
what I did.
Well, Cliff, I asked you a question. 8's the answer. Thank you.
3. This is 3. This is 8.
Cliff, that's why I just turned the page. I no longer care. I don't care. The answer is too complex for my
So
little head.
I don't know a lot about this. Where did
Did
these
you follow
bodies?
that, Bill? Did you follow that? You're a doctor. You
Not
don't
well.
you don't want to get in this mess.
I don't want to wade into that. I'm more interested in what's like. Where did these bodies show up? What's their condition? Why is there a thought that it's a serial killer?
Some are unknown who they are. They've shown up in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. I don't think any have been gruesomely killed. All right. John, put your right hand on your microphone.
I just shut my microphone off. What do you want me to do?
Just hold the end right like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Put your right hand right there. Now, show me the number 8. You took your hand off the microphone. You just died.
You just said, show me,
Yeah.
with no parameters, no guidelines. You said, grab the microphone, okay. Now show me
Yeah.
the number 8. So I used both my hands.
Don't release the microphone. Just show 8.
8.
Never mind.
See the feeling?
Are you trying to get him to show you the special finger, Cliff?
Yeah. So, Eileen, have you heard anything about this missing 4-year-old here in Lowell?
Oh, I know it's been over a week now with no luck.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just get to the. Sadly, this little kid went into the river. It's cold water. And sooner or later, Mother Nature will let this kid rise to the surface. And it's just the long, long wait we have for Mother Nature to let this child come to the surface. It's just the extra cold water is preventing that from happening. So I hope that he does come to the surface soon, but Mother Nature's got to take her course, and the river's got to warm up a little bit.
Okay. So, Lowell Public Schools, no meeting this week?
No, because we talked about this, right? Because the first meeting was on the 2nd, and then the next meeting, there's only 2 school committee meetings a month, no matter what. So if this is the 5th Wednesday, it's the 5th Wednesday of the month, and we've already had 2 meetings. So we don't have a meeting. And I even got my motions in on Friday because I was convinced we had a meeting.
Okay.
Comment from the
Good
audience.
for-
Unfortunately, people nowadays walk looking down at their phones and are not paying attention to their surroundings. That's from Jay. Yes, that's true.
True enough, true enough. So,
Well, but that's the good point that Jay brings up is, I have my earbuds in and I'm watching a movie on my cell phone and I walk out into live traffic, in Massachusetts, it's still the driver's complete fault. Do you think that should be explored? If I'm not paying attention to anything and I just walk out into live traffic, don't I have some kind of obligation to pay attention to what I'm doing if I'm traveling on a public sidewalk or a public street?
oh, I agree.
And I see them, not every day, but either they got the full earphones on or they got their little wireless earbuds in and they're just on the phone. They just cross the street without looking at anything.
I would say especially if there's a traffic control device that tells you when you may and may not walk, and you ignore that, I think you should pick up some of the responsibility.
I richly agree. Doctor,
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, of course. If
What are your
the
thoughts?
traffic control device says not to cross, then if someone takes it upon themselves to cross anyway, it's their responsibility for doing that.
But your car insurance
I got
pays
picked up
for
for jaywalking, and like when I first moved to Vegas, I couldn't even because that doesn't exist here in the Northeast, right? And I feel like I crossed. I wasn't even aware of there were systems like that when I first started going to school out there in like 2002, and a police officer literally pulled me over as I was crossing the street and said next time he would write me a ticket. I was like, it blew my mind.
My story is I get pulled over in Israel. I was walking in Jerusalem. It was wicked early in the morning. There was a variety store across the street. I'm starving to death. So I tell my wife, I'm going to take a walk across to that variety store. I'm going to get something to eat. I'll be right back. She said, okay, cool. So I walked, it's a Sunday, it's a Saturday morning, I don't know, it's a weekend morning, could have been Saturday, Sunday. There were no cars on the street. So I just marched across the street. I didn't look for a crosswalk, I just marched across the street. And this this woman from the army comes up and she's got her weapon with her. And very friendly says, sir, you cannot do that. You must use the crosswalk.
I can try to call it.
Please, when you cross the street here, you must use the sidewalk, the crosswalk at all times. She was as polite as could be. Only time I've ever got stopped for jaywalking.
Yeah. And tell us your story again, Eileen, and lost wages. What were you stopped for?
Jaywalking.
So I was literally, UNLV is across the street from like a Wells Fargo and a Starbucks, and I just gotten a bank account, I want to say with a Wells Fargo, or maybe I was even going for a coffee, and I was just crossing the street, and I wasn't even paying attention, and at that point, cell phones really weren't even a thing at that time, so it's not like I was distracted. I was looking like we look around here for, is a car coming? Is it safe to cross? But I wasn't following the signs because I didn't even know that was a thing. And because we really never had those around here, even at that point. And then, a police officer called me over and said next time he sees me doing that, he's going to write me a ticket.
Yeah, that's sort of a Southwest U.S. kind of thing about PEDs using the PED exit.
Cliff, I'm going to have to call you right back because my mom can't find her phone. I have to call it for her.
Okay,
Right.
bye-bye. So the city council.
So, Mike, how do they handle jaywalking down in sunny Florida, and how's the weather been down in sunny Florida? Mike's frozen.
Were you asking me a question? I couldn't hear
Yes.
Yeah, he asked how the weather is down there and if they do anything about jaywalkers in Florida.
that. Jaywalkers, I haven't seen anything on that. I've seen, excuse me, a number of people cross on busy highways or roads that I would never cross where they're crossing because the drivers in Florida are somewhat crazy. They do have a number of areas in Florida where they've got the, you push the button and it lights up, a crossing walk area. I walk, in the morning a lot, and but I'm not jaywalking. I'm walking on the sidewalk and I'm going across streets where the crosswalks are. So, I mean, there's sometimes I've walked across the streets when, they got the little sign there that says don't cross yet, but there's no traffic when I'm walking at 6 o'clock in the morning, no cars around, so I do that. I guess I could get a stop for jaywalking for that, but I've seen people walking across roads all the time. I've never seen any police pull anybody over. So, and the weather is basically all this week and next week is all in the mid-80s. So it's been real nice. I think tomorrow we're supposed to get some rain, though, finally.
Okay. So, city council meeting tomorrow, they're going to vote to acquire the property at 40 Market Street, the former Aligned Credit Union, and it'll allow the city to consolidate the planning and permitting division, as well as other departments to be identified in the future. So,
Comment from the audience, on Bridge Street and the Boulevard, they jaywalk on a regular basis. Good point. On the Boulevard myself, I jaywalk.
Yeah, I think if it impedes traffic or is dangerous for the pedestrians, then the police should really talk to people in the way that they did to you and Eileen. I think
Well,
that's.
if I'm on the Boulevard and I can't see the crosswalk, that's how far away it is. I can't see it. I don't know what direction to go in, so I just cross the Boulevard. I mean, I watch out for the cars. I realize the cars have got the right of way, but I cross half the Boulevard, climb over the guardrail, and when it's clear, I finish my walk across. And in downtown Lowell, I always use the crosswalk in downtown Lowell. I should say, I always use the crosswalk, which I do. Back to you, Cliff.
yeah. Yeah, when I was learning to drive, I was told that pedestrians in the crosswalk, if you got one, it was double the number of points. So it was always good to see pedestrians in the crosswalk because they scored higher.
Double the number of points.
Double the number of points. So,
On the lighter side of things, that's the conversation that happened, didn't he? Did Martha write down the score?
I didn't know Martha in those days. Just when I was learning to drive, 17 or so. So anyway,
Where were you when you met Martha?
where was I or how old?
Both.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'd say I was 23, close to 24, and I didn't meet Martha. I met her daughter at the snack bar at MacDill Air Force Base.
In what state or country would that be?
That would be in Florida. So
Gotcha.
what city is that? Tampa, Florida. So, yeah, the daughter, Cindy, came over. I was there having lunch one Sunday by myself and came over and she asked me to read her the comics.
Aw.
So, John, you had another text?
I'm surprised Jay hasn't brought up Fairmont Street yet. I thought that was the reason Cliff went out on Friday. I figured he had to have some insides replaced from driving on Fairmont Street. Cliff, do you want to tell everybody what you were doing on Friday, or just turn the page?
I was having a colonoscopy and endoscopy. It takes a while. They want you to show early and lounge around, then they do it, and then they want you to stick around for a while and not drive the rest of the day. So it consumed about half a day.
So how was your visit? Did everything go according to plan? Everything happened on time? Was there any delays? Was it over to Lowell General? Was it a private facility?
It was at Lowell General. It was a little bit delayed, but the initial assessment was that everything was okay.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah. These things are important, though. I don't know if anybody else had noticed, but apparently the occurrence of colon cancer has moved into the younger population, so that younger people, people like Bill and Eileen, need to be
and
aware.
John. He didn't hear me. Did he hear me?
I did. I heard you.
I heard it.
Need to be aware. And I know I've had colon cancer. I was at Mass on Saturday, and the priest noted that I was looking a little pale. And on Sunday, I
That's
was...
Sanella for you. He always says that. You look tired. You know, you look tired. I said, well, thank you, Father. You look fat.
I have a great story about looking tired. So
Okay, let's hear that.
For, I don't know, probably over the space of a year, every time we would see my mother-in-law, she would say, Bill, you look tired. And I said to my wife, like, why does your mother always say I look tired? And she said, I don't know. Just tell her, no, I don't look tired. This is just what I look like. You just don't know what I look like. This is how I look.
So they get up.
Is your wife's mother Irish Catholic?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, my mother always says that to her kids, like, go sleep in the bed that you grew up in. She'll say, go get a good night's sleep. Go take a nap anytime. Like, my brother will come over, and like, it's funny because it's just how she looks at the boy. Like,
Now, comment from the audience. We have a lot of comedians today. Mr. Krieger, if you met Martha at the snack bar, was it love at first bite?
That's good.
That's cool.
what did they say? Can you say it again?
Yeah, I'll put it
Was
back.
it love at first bite?
I said, Mr. Krieger, since you met Martha at the snack bar, was it love at first bite?
Well,
That's cute.
Anyway.
It's interesting you talk about colon cancer with people that are younger getting it. You got to wonder, with all the different chemicals in our foods now, the ultra-processed foods, how that's affecting things. You know, because people are eating, I think the food they're eating is different. The things that are in it are different. You got to wonder on how much that's affecting why people are getting colon cancer at younger ages.
I would argue that the bigger effect is going to be the weight of people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. Obesity is a huge factor for this, and I think people are heavier now than they were even 20 or 25 years ago.
Bill, I think the
And I think-
heaviness is the fact that we're consuming chicken, chicken are forced to eat growth hormones, and the hormones continue to grow us as we process chicken.
That's possible. I don't know.
There is a
But
news,
people are very heavy.
there's a
Yeah,
news
well, I
report
think
out
some of
saying that
that,
chicken
I think
causes
some of that has
cancer.
to do with, people are not as active, and the other thing is the foods we're eating are, affecting that. I was reading a recent article about the sugar, how much sugar there is in all our foods that was not in there before, that's hidden away, because how many people, when they buy stuff, really read the ingredients that are in those foods?
Well, one of our frequent flyer viewers, his name is Scotty McGrath, he spends quite a bit of time in Brazil because that's where his wife is from. And he was telling me that the women in Brazil are a lot skinnier at the beach than the American women are. So I'm waiting for Hampton Beach to come around the curve, and I'm going to see if he's right. Because I had nothing to contrast it to. He showed me, a wide shot of the beach, and everybody's skinny.
So to continue my story, on Sunday, after counting money, I was leaving, and Father Sanella was in the front office on the phone, and I heard him say to the person, "I'll call you right back." And he said to me, "You're looking pale. Go see your physician Monday." And I did, and I think Thursday they took out 2 inches of my colon. So,
Oh, wow. And he would know, right? Because he was the surgeon.
right.
Oh. When was this?
Oh, about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's, wow.
Newest comment from the audience, home run, doctor. The amount of obesity in society is unbelievable. Maybe RFK is onto something. That's from Jay. Back to you, Cliff.
All right. Okay, so do you remember the old Line Credit Union building, John?
The Oval Line Credit Union.
The old Align Credit Union,
Yeah, it was the old police station, I think.
40 Market Street.
Yep, that was the police station when I was a kid.
Ah. Well, we're buying it back for, I think, $2.5 million.
Why are we buying this? Because Tommy wants it?
They're going to consolidate the planning and permitting divisions there.
Growing government. They already consumed the second floor of the JFK Civic Center. Oh, well, don't you love how they grow government? Thank you, City Council, for growing government in the city. We have enough $100,000 employees. We need more now.
Did you see where Tom Golden has been given a 3-year extension? He's good through 2030?
He got a 5-year
Oh, wow.
contract. 5-year contract.
If it's through 2030, it's got to be 5 years, right?
No,
What
except...
they decide,
Go ahead, Eileen.
what they decide for his salary.
Too
Well,
much.
I don't know, it's like $230,000.
No. I'll look up the column yesterday. I think it was 277.
Okay.
I get
By the
chastised.
end of the 5 years.
No, he gets cold. Eileen, I'm going to ask Eric